I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. I'm going to take just a brief moment here. Here at the workshop, there is no primary job. What I do is what comes in the door, or down the stairs in this case. Quite often I have jobs that are antique tool related, because as you see, I tend to have a lot of antique tools. And because they come to me in less than perfect condition, mostly because that's a choice of mine. I really like working on them and making them work again. So restoring antique tools is a big part of it. But the workshop is all about what comes in the door. Some of the projects that I do are current projects on things that brand new came in and needed to have a little setup done. Or I bought something new and I wanted to use it. So I tend to put those up on videos so that people can see them. Sometimes they're items that work really well. Sometimes they're items that just don't. I'm not going to differentiate between whether I talk about the don't or the do. I'm just going to talk about what comes in through the door. Today's project is going back to extension cords. Yeah, I got an extension cord. This one we used on the string trimmer. Why do I have an electric string trimmer? I really have a problem with the gasoline powered string trimmers. Over the past year or so I found out that the biggest problem that I'm having is I'm using the wrong fuel in them, and the two-stroke engines gum up and get screwed up because they have additives in the gasoline. And we've talked about the additives in gasoline many times in other places. So the electric string trimmer, they're cheap, especially the cord operated ones. They're cheap. People aren't buying them. They're buying the whiz-bang battery operated things that you can use the trimmer for an hour and then change the battery, and then use it for an hour and change the battery and charge the battery 20 times and then get a new battery. You know how the drill goes. This one I've had, well, we brought it here from the old house, and then at the old house we had almost 3 acres, and I don't know, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 outbuildings and all kinds of fences and everything else, and we trimmed the whole thing with that little electric trimmer that I bought over there probably 5 years before we moved, and that was 7 years ago, so 12 years old. Now here I don't use the string trimmer as much, but I still do use it. That same cord powered string trimmer has just been working. I don't have to go out and yank on it to get it started. I pull the trigger and it cuts. Good job. But this cord, which is not the fault of the string trimmer, it's just the result of using it. The cord was a good cord when I bought it, and it's still a fairly good cord, except this end has come kind of apart and frayed out. And I think because it wasn't inside the sheath anymore, it got bent too much. So if you plug something into this cord and bend it just right, it still connects. That's not good. Can't use it on the string trimmer. So I went to Tractor Supply, and at the same time I picked up the cord reel, I picked up this little end cap. Now, it's inexpensive, and it's probably not the top quality in the world, but it should function. So my goal here is replace the cord cap on my extension cord. Simple job. So the first thing to do is cut off this extension cord cap. Now, I know that this end down here has been beat up, so I'm going to cut back about 1 inch. That way I'm pretty sure that I'm going to get down in here where the cord is still good. So this goes in the trash. No longer useful. And I'm going to pull the new cord cap apart just to see what it takes. Fairly straightforward. Like I said, not a high dollar item. Pass and Seymour LeGrand, Syria, New York. Made in China. Okay, I have an expectation, but not much of one. Always want to remember to slip this thing on before you start doing the other stuff. Not that I've done it a lot. Well, okay, maybe I have. But that way, chances are you'll remember to have it on there when you get this all fastened on. Now, I once had an argument with a guy. Oh, come on, that doesn't happen. Yeah, I did. About the proper way to strip a cord. To me, the method you use is up to you. As long as you're not cutting into the insulation on the individual wires, could care less. And even then, if it's one that you're using, you know, make it so that you're comfortable with it. If you're not, then do it different. Now, if you have better ideas than the way I'm doing it, certainly bring it up. I'm always happy to listen to new ideas. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to follow your concept, but it's always interesting to learn. And chances are, I'm going to learn a little something from everybody, because I don't know it all. This pair of wire cutters and this pair of wire cutters are very similar, except this one is dull as a butter knife and this one works pretty good. I'm trying to use this one to cut this insulation off, and unless I got it in just the right spot, it just kind of mushes it. Now I can see this looking at it with a light behind it. By looking at the cutters with the light behind it, I can see a lot of daylight coming through there. Nope, too much back glare. You're not going to see it. These, I don't see any light shining through it at all. Like I said, the jobs depend on what comes through the door. Right now I'm going to be using these, and these are going to go on the shelf with a piece of tape on them. That way I'll remember that they don't work and I won't keep grabbing them up. Now this cord doesn't have anything on the outside of it that says what size it is. And this wire stripper is graduated by size. Well, it's obviously not number 10 because number 10 doesn't even grip the insulation. Number 12 cuts partway through but doesn't get it all. 14, same thing. 16. We're getting down there where it should be doing something. Yep. Number 16 wire. Now, does it matter? Nah, not really. Thing that I want to do is I want to be able to strip the wire off without cutting any of the conductors away, because the conductors determine how much work the electricity coming through the wire can generate. Because the size of wire determines the number of amps that can flow through it without it overheating. Number 16 wire is pretty good size for running a small piece of equipment at the end of the line. Oh, I can see something here. I have to be careful about this. This little thing will fall apart it's held together by the cord cap, and that's going to keep these little brass pieces inside the body of the plug, but there ain't a whole lot to it. It's okay, I paid a small amount for it. I'm getting what I expect. Okay, I have my wires stripped back. Now the only thing holding this into that is these screws. They're going to grip onto the end of these little brass strips, and I'm going to fasten the wire to them, and that's going to hold it all in place, right? Well, not really. But they were smart. They said, oh, okay, we'll put a little hook on the end of this thing so that you can run the wire through like that, and now that's going to hang on to it pretty good. But when I look at the instruction manual, yeah, who am I kidding? There isn't any. It doesn't say anything about using that. That's just my interpretation of what they designed. Somebody thought about this and actually did a good job. But because they never told anybody, there's no way in the world anybody's going to figure that out just by looking at it. Okay. Brass terminal, black line. Take my fingers. Oh, actually, I'm standing here at the workbench and I have all these tools. I should be using them. Twist the wire. Form a loop. Go like that. Make sure I have my wire hooked into that little doohickey there. This is harder than it looks. Make sure I got that twisted up well. Crank this around so I get a good attachment. Now I hook that in there. See if we can do it this way. I'll hook it up to the screw first. Yes, you're seeing it here first, folks. I'm actually developing a work instruction as I go. Because that's what we do here. I am an engineer by trade. You wouldn't think so, but that's what I used to do for a living. I looked at things and I said, how can I make this work? I need to put this together, I need to have somebody else assemble it, I need to do whatever, and then I would write it down and it would become the gospel for some poor assembly line guy to try and follow what I wrote. That meant I spent a lot of time talking to people on assembly lines and having them tell me all the things that I did wrong. I got a pretty thick skin. I don't mind people telling me when I'm wrong. It's actually a professional positive, because when I have people tell me what I did wrong, it means that they get a better deal out of it and everything seems to work better. Okay, that's got that. Now if I pull on that, it's pretty solid. Am I going to have enough wire to reach up and get all the things that I need to do? Looks like it. Yep, looks like that's going to be okay. The only way I get any feedback on this job is, first, I look at it and say, does it work for me? Because I'm doing most of this stuff just for me, I'm a pretty good judge of whether it's working or not. So I say, yeah, that's good, or no, that's not. If it's a situation where I say, no, that's not, then I have to talk to the guy who's doing the work, namely me, and say, you should be doing that differently. Then I make a judgment call based on the amount of time and effort I'm willing to put into the job and make it work. Most of the time, I'm willing to put quite a bit into it just to make it work. I'm fussy. Some people call that anal, I suppose. Okay, that's got that gripped. The screws go towards the outside. That's always a good thing. Now I'm going to connect up the ground wire. You know, when I first looked at this, I thought this was kind of chintzy, but I like the way that they made this outlet. Or receptacle, cord cap, whatever you want to call the thing. Because that lets me get these pieces out here where I can reach and get to them. There's been a lot of cord caps over the years that I just thought, man, what a pain in the butt. Spent an inordinate amount of time trying to make something work when it should just be really simple. Tuck that wire down in there. I apologize if I'm hiding things behind my hands, guys. I'm doing the best I can, working with what I got. I got big fingers, so I'm trying to make it work. There. That actually hangs on there pretty darn good. I'm impressed, guys. This actually works pretty darn good. So I take the ground lug, spread it out so it goes over the top, slide it down into there. Looks like that works pretty good. And I take the black lead and the little brass clip that's on it, slide it into there. There we go. That works. And slide that one into there. And we have that actually joined together pretty darn well. I'm liking it. While I have this all disassembled, I'm going to take the opportunity to see exactly how this works. Got the cover off of it. I can reach in there and get a good look at it and tighten up screws if I need to. But I'm just going to plug this in just to see how it works. Well, that grips on there pretty darn good. Little brass strips grab a hold of the sides of that plug. And having those wires tucked into the conductors here, that really grips on tightly. And I'm learning something new as I go here. If I hold it like this with a cord engaged in it, then I can use that plug as a handle and slide that together. That works pretty darn slick. Snug that up good and solid. There we go. I think that's going to work. Had a couple of spots there where the outer sheath is nicked up. Didn't get into the conductors. But I'm going to put some tape on that. I can fix anything. Where's my duct tape? most of the damage occurs at the beginning and the end of the cable. That's the places that I do the most work with it. I plug it in and unplug it. And it's also the place where it gets out by the piece of equipment. So it's much more likely to have things moving around it and stuff gets dropped on it and banged up and beat up. And that's just poor management on my part. I'm not being cautious of my extension cord. I'm doing things on top of a ladder, out in the yard, way off away from places that are safe and protected, because that's why you have a 100-foot extension cord, is to get away from the places where you're right next to the outlet. There. Now I have 2 patches on it. I think one more I probably should cut this back and put a new plug on it, but the plug is still in good shape, so as long as the cord holds together, I'm going to keep it running. I'm going to plug this in. No bangs, no booms. That's always a good sign. I could save myself a lot of steps by just bringing it over the tool pouch. Okay, cord cap's on. Get out our little tester, plug it in, and look at that. 2 yellow lights. Extension cord's fixed. Another job's done. It can go back on the wall, and I can go on and do something else. So, even though this is an inexpensive piece made in China, it has some good design features, works really well, from Tractor Supply. This is for all you guys that were asking me, hey, maybe you could review something else from Tractor Supply. Just did it. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching. These little things, I like them. Lets me hook the cable together, makes a nice little hook, and I can hang this on a peg, and everything is nice, safe, and secure. Keeps my cords wrapped up for me. Now, for all you guys that want to have me coil it a certain way, yeah, okay, that's cool. I can spend my day walking around here trying to coil up cords and uncoil cords, or I can just wrap it up on a reel. This is $7. This is almost $7. I got these. I got this. When this is working right, I like this better than this. Thanks for watching.